Hey Falcons fans, let's dive into some exciting updates that could shape the Falcons' defense and offense as we approach the crucial final stretch of the season. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to stay on top of all things Falcons. Trust me, you won't want to miss any of the action as the season heats up. First up, let's talk about the pass rush, or unfortunately, the lack of one. If you've been following the Falcons this year, you know this has been a major issue. With just 10 sacks all season, Atlanta is ranked dead last in the NFL. That's a big problem. But here's the good news. There might be a solution on the horizon. The Detroit Lions recently let go of edge rusher James Houston IV, and the Falcons could be eyeing him as a potential game changer. Let's break it down. In his rookie year, 2022, Houston was a beast. He managed an impressive 8 sacks in just 7 games. However, an ankle injury slowed him down in 2023, and he hasn't quite bounced back, recording only 1 sack in 8 games this season. Even so, his talent and potential are undeniable. Houston has the speed, skill, and experience to make a big impact, especially for a defense like the Falcons that desperately needs help pressuring quarterbacks. Why is this so important? Head coach Raheem Morris has been vocal about the team's need to step up their pass rush. During the bye week, the team took a hard look at their weaknesses, and improving this area stood out as a top priority. While the defense has been solid against the run, they need to generate more pressure if they want to compete with the league's best, especially with playoffs on the line. Adding Houston would be a low-risk, high-reward move. At just 26 years old, he's still young and has plenty of time to get back to his best. Sometimes, a fresh start is all a player needs. Whether it's coming off the bench for key plays or energizing the defense when they're struggling, Houston could be the spark Atlanta needs. But that's not all. The Falcons also evaluated their offensive playmaking during the bye. One glaring issue: they're using play action less than any other team in the NFL. In fact, Atlanta is the only team running play action less than 10% of the time. A surprising stat for a team led by a quarterback like Kirk Cousins, who has a proven track record with this strategy. Let's talk about play action. One big issue this season has been the Falcons' lack of play action. Head coach Raheem Morris admitted they've neglected this crucial part of their offense, and he's ready to change that. In his own words, "We have more play action calls in the playbook, and we need to start using them more. It's something we want to make a bigger part of our game." This makes perfect sense, especially since play action has been a major strength for quarterback Kirk Cousins throughout his career. It's no surprise the Falcons want to bring it back, and the potential benefits are huge. So what does this mean going forward? More play action could transform the offense. It could open up opportunities for playmakers like Drake London and Kyle Pitts, 2 players bursting with talent, but still searching for consistent success. With play action creating more time and space for these stars, the Falcons' offense could become much more dynamic and unpredictable. But here's where it all ties into the bigger picture: the NFC South race. The Falcons are still sitting in first place, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are right on their heels. There's no room for complacency now. Atlanta's lead is shrinking, and if they want to secure the division title, they need to improve in every area: offense, defense, and discipline. This means cutting down on penalties, fixing mistakes, executing better in key moments. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay is heating up. They just beat the Giants in Week 12 and are gaining momentum heading into their matchup with the Panthers. While the Buccaneers' offense isn't perfect, their defense is getting healthier, and they're a real threat to overtake the Falcons if Atlanta doesn't step up. And don't forget about the New Orleans Saints. After their bye week, they're creeping back into the NFC South race too. It's shaping up to be a tight battle, and the Falcons can't afford to let up. A tight NFC South race. As the season unfolds, even teams like the New Orleans Saints are getting healthier and could turn into spoilers for anyone chasing a playoff spot. Meanwhile, the Carolina Panthers may already be eyeing next year's draft, but don't underestimate them. Their young players are fighting to prove themselves, which means they'll be a tough challenge when the Falcons face them again. Now, Falcons fans, it's your turn. What do you think? Should the Falcons bring in James Houston IV to boost the pass rush? Is this a smart, low-risk move, or should they look elsewhere for help? What about the decision to use more play action? Do you think this will finally spark the offense? We all know this season has had its ups and downs. The Falcons have faced criticism, especially for their struggling pass rush. Frustration has been building, but it's important to keep things in perspective. Let's take a step back and breathe. Despite the challenges, there's still so much to feel hopeful about. Atlanta is still firmly in control of the NFC South. Yes, the pass rush needs work, and it could hurt the team's chances of being a serious contender in January. But don't let that overshadow the bigger picture. The Falcons hold their destiny in their own hands. Right now, the Falcons have a one-game lead over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even if they stumble next week, they'll still remain in the driver's seat for the division. And if the Bucs win, it's a tie, but Atlanta still has a clear path to take back control. So Falcons fans, stay positive. The road ahead might be tough, but the team's goals are still within reach. The tiebreaker advantage. Here's the good news. Atlanta holds the tiebreaker over Tampa Bay, having swept the season series against the Buccaneers. That's a huge advantage as the Falcons head into the home stretch. Atlanta has fought through a tough schedule, but their playoff position is still solid. The key to staying in control, winning the games they're supposed to win. The remaining schedule features matchups against the Raiders, Panthers, and Giants, teams either tanking or struggling. If the Falcons handle business against these opponents and manage to split their next two tougher games, there's virtually no way for Tampa Bay to overtake them. Now let's be honest, for fans hoping for a more dominant and exciting finish to the season, this might not feel like enough. The frustration is understandable. There are valid questions about the lack of defensive adjustments and why the team hasn't taken the next big step. But here's the thing. Two things can be true at once. It's fair to be frustrated with the coaching staff and front office. It's also fair to acknowledge that the Falcons are on track to make the playoffs, and that's something to celebrate. A long-awaited opportunity. Let's be real. It's been a while since Falcons fans could feel this hopeful. The last time Atlanta was a true contender in the NFC South or had legitimate playoff aspirations this late in the season was 2017. That playoff run feels like a lifetime ago. Now, for the first time in 7 years, the Falcons are in a position to win the NFC South title and make the playoffs. Even if the season hasn't been as flashy or dominant as fans hoped, the goal is still within reach. Addressing the pass rush problem, switching gears, let's talk about head coach Raheem Morris and his candid comments during the bye week. The Falcons used this time to self-scout, and Morris didn't hold back when addressing the team's biggest defensive weakness, the pass rush. Here's what Morris said. Games 1 through 5, there were things you liked, things you wanted to fix, but we still couldn't improve the pass rush. So what can we do differently in the next phase? Get better. It's refreshing to hear this level of honesty. The pass rush has been abysmal. There's no sugarcoating it. With just 10 sacks on the season, Atlanta ranks dead last in the NFL. To put that into perspective, every other team has at least 17 sacks. This glaring issue could seriously hold the Falcons back from achieving their playoff dreams. Progress in other areas. But it's not all bad news. The defense has improved in other key areas. In the first 5 games, the Falcons were giving up an average of 148.5 rushing yards per game. Since then, they've tightened up significantly, allowing just 109.5 rushing yards per game over their last 6 contests. That's a huge improvement. and it shows that progress is being made. The question now is whether the Falcons can build on these gains, shore up the pass rush, and carry their momentum into the playoffs. The defense, adjustments needed. The good news? The Falcons' defense has shown it can make adjustments, but here's the problem. The pass rush hasn't improved. Over the last 6 games, Atlanta recorded the same number of sacks as in the first 5, a disappointing total. With some critical games coming up, the Falcons must find a way to generate more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Without that improvement, it could seriously hurt their chances of making a deep playoff run. The hope is that the bye week gave the defense the time it needed to recover and reset. If the Falcons can step up their pass rush, they could transform into a much more dangerous team heading into the final stretch. But can they do it? That's the big question. What do you think, Falcons fans? Let's hear your thoughts. Are you feeling confident about the Falcons' position despite the challenges? Can the defense turn things around and become a playoff-caliber unit? Do you believe the Falcons can hold on and win the NFC South title? Share your opinions in the comments below. We want to know what you think. Stay connected. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more updates on all things Falcons. The road ahead may be tough, but there's a lot to look forward to. We'll be here every step of the way. Go Falcons!